D.L. Hughley, he's a regular on my show.
Fantastic, fantastic. I do his show.
Incredible.
Too.
Yep.
Fantastic.
And,
he's smart.
You know, he had some friction with Bill Cosby. I don't know if you heard about that.
And Eddie Murphy. You know, Bill was so clean, Mr. Clean Guy, and Mr.
Right.
Perfect, and in the meantime, he was fucking up other ways people didn't know, which is worse than being clean. So, every era does a different comedians, and they do different, because he came up when he couldn't cuss at all because he was on television. He's one of those guys. But now, thank God for BET and all of the cable shows that people could speak freely and say what they want to say. Thank God for that.
I mean, what did you think when Bill was criticizing all the big, like the up and coming black comedians like Eddie Murphy over saying the N-word and cussing and so forth? Like when he was really denouncing everybody, what was your take on that?
My take on was bullshit because I'm from marketing, like I told you, because there's a market for everybody. That may not have been, everybody don't have to be like Bill. As you can see, they became successful in some ways, not more successful, but successful enough. Always do your thing, do you. Do the best you can be, and don't worry about it. As long as you're honoring your essence, the money will come, everybody's happy. You don't have to criticize anybody. It turned out he was wrong, right?
Yeah.
See what happened?
I mean, because that was the whole thing with D.L. Hughley. He was doing his radio show, and Bill called in, and when he found out that he was talking to D.L., he started criticizing him. He goes, "Oh, I don't like your comedy. Use the N-word and everything else like that." And D.L. said, "Well, I may use the N-word, but, co-eds aren't waking up in the morning with their panties around their ankles." You had a situation when Bill Cosby called in.
Sure.
Can you talk about that?
Well, I was doing Kiss FM here. Right after CNN, I was doing Kiss FM. I was doing the morning show. Bill Cosby had called in to promote a gig I think he was having in Connecticut or Pennsylvania. And I was like, Bill don't like me, and I don't particularly care for him. So I'm not going to, I'll let you guys do the interview. It was for pre-tape. And so a girl named Jackie Reed and a cat named Steve Wilson, who were my co-hosts, started interviewing me. But he was such a dick. For 5 minutes, he's been such a dick. I was like, "Mr. Cosby, what is it you like for us to know?" He said, "Who is this?" I said, "This is D.L. Hughley. You say nigga, and I don't like your comedy." And he went in, and I was like, "With all due respect, Mr. Cosby, I say nigga, but no co-ed has ever woke up drug with her drawers on backwards." And we go back and forth and back and forth. I said, "I respect." He said, "You could be my son." I said, "But I'm not." And I said, "Everything you are because of your experiences, and I appreciate that, but you're not going to denigrate what I've been through." And I said, "No one has ever, out of all the words people have ever said to me, no one's ever said rape. No one's ever said." We had this argument, right? And so I worked Hot 107, Kiss FM was owned by Emmys. Bill Cosby, like, that tape will never air. This is a true story. He said, that tape is not going to air. And I said, the fuck it ain't. And 10 minutes later, all the people from Emmys came down, Emmys Communications, took the tape, made sure nobody had a copy of it, said if this airs, nobody in here will work in radio again.
Exactly. How about that? So he told the truth about that. And some people, I still don't use the N-word. I stopped using it last Tuesday. It's just not a good word to use, okay?
That's Tuesday.
It's just, have you noticed when people use the N-word, some white people become more upset than the N people? The N people, yeah. I know y'all have to think about that. But the N-word, even Al Sharpton, his church got together, his church group got together. By the way, have you seen Al Sharpton lately?
He's pretty skinny.
We need to start a Go Feed Me fund for his ass. Have you seen him? He need to eat a grape or some popcorn or eat the whole bag or some shit like that. But I love him. He's a good friend of mine. But getting back to the N-word, Al Sharpton and the coalition that got together, they tried to get rid of the N-word, and they had a funeral for the N-word. Did you read about that? They had a funeral they're going to eradicate the N-word. They had a funeral for it, put it in the coffin, put the N-word in the coffin, closed the coffin, took the coffin down to the cemetery with the N-word in it, and they buried the N-word. I said they buried the N-word. But on that third day, that N-word got up. N-word said, "What the waka flocka put me in this waka flocking hole?" The N-word.
And he came back.
Yeah, it took
And
you a
here
little
we-
while.
and
You
here
don't
we
go to
are.
church. It took him a little while to get the joke. Yeah, on the third day he rose.
Like Jesus.
This Walker Flock almost cussed.
Well, I mean, aside from all
Like
the comedy,
Jesus. He said like Jesus. You crazy.